Alright, everyone, now time to take a look at the final episode of the day, Return of the Kane. Logan finds a mob of paparazzi waiting for him in the morning one day. He makes snide remarks, telling them to leave, but his movie star father, Aaron Eccles, arrives and welcomes them. Meanwhile, Duncan talks to his father, Jake, about running for school president. In addition, a cheerleader sees another girl, Wanda, get her food delivered, and she confronts journalism teacher Mallory Dent about the problem. Eventually, a fight ensues between the two. Veronica says she used to be in the pep squad with Wanda. At dinner that day, Keith and Veronica see on the news that the convicted murderer of Lily Kane, Abel Kuntz, has fired his legal defense counsel. In newspaper class the next day, Veronica is tasked with covering the school election just as she sees that Wanda is running. Logan tells Duncan he should run. Later, Veronica interviews Wanda. She gives some politically charged responses, speaking out against the rich students and status quo. Duncan sees an ad for his presidential run on the school TV. The video is voiced by Logan's father and seems to have been created by Logan without Duncan's knowledge. Veronica decides to research more into Lily's murder. She starts with listing all the suspects: Abel Kuntz, Celeste Kane, Jake, and Duncan. She opens her father's safe and begins to look for clues. That night, Logan runs into an illegal boxing ring. The next day, it is announced that Duncan has actually won the presidency, to the shock of the entire school. Veronica announces that now she's got a story, implying that she believes it was rigged. Later, Veronica talks with another faculty member, Mrs. Donaldson, who says that one adult must sign a request for the votes to be recounted. Veronica recruits a journalism teacher, and she accepts. Veronica runs through the ballots with Wallace and Wanda, but they still show a victory for Duncan. However, Veronica finds a ballot of a student who wrote Rhonda rules on his form, but voted for Duncan. Veronica soon finds that the voting instructions for the ballots were different in different rooms. She confronts the principal about this, but he doubts her. It turns out that Madison Sinclair, an 09er girl, made the ballot orders, and Veronica considers the mystery solved. The principal gives in, and a runoff is scheduled for that Thursday. That night, Veronica calls an adult reporter to ask him for his copy of a piece he did a few days ago on Abel Kuntz. Jake pressures Duncan to win the election, though their interaction is more tender than other instances. Duncan asks, What if I find happiness living in grass hut, carving driftwood figurines for tourists? Jake responds, If you're happy and committed to driftwood carving, be the best driftwood carver you can be, after you've graduated from Stanford Law School, summa cum laude. Duncan laughs and the tension is eased for a moment. The next day, Veronica sees defaced Wanda posters and clean new Duncan posters. Veronica and Wanda decide to hang out and make new posters. In newspaper class, Veronica confronts Duncan about his role in the election, but he doesn't respond. That night, Logan finds his father, who cannot sleep due to the recent press about Logan's homeless boxing ring. On the day of the election, Veronica tries to give Weevil a Wanda bumper sticker. Weevil refuses, saying his friend Felix got in trouble for stealing traffic signs after sleeping with Wanda. Soon after, Veronica proposes they go to a rave in the desert, win or lose. Wanda asks if they'll need provisions, referring to ecstasy, and Veronica lies, saying she knows a dealer. Aaron Eccles tells Logan that he is going to force him to volunteer at a soup kitchen as a publicity response. It starts to go well, but Logan says that Aaron is donating $50,000 to the Neptune Food Bank, a promise Aaron never made. Later that day, Aaron whips Logan with a belt while Logan's mother sits in another room. Ugh. Veronica is subject to an emergency locker check, after which she hears that Duncan won the presidency. Veronica realizes Wanda is writing out other students to clear her record of a drug charge. When Veronica confronts her, Wanda admits to reporting other students because it's her only hope of maintaining a clear record and getting into college. Veronica replies that there are no hard feelings she didn't vote for Wanda. Later that day, Veronica receives her package from the reporter and starts to lie to Keith about its contents, before telling her dad the truth and pleading with him to reopen the case. She shows the footage of Abel Kuntz's arrest and the shoes decorated by Veronica that one of the images contains. Keith asks what she thinks those shoes are doing with Abel Kuntz, and Veronica responds, Good question. Now let's take a look at the arc significance surrounding this episode. Abel Koontz fires his public defender. Veronica finds out that the pair of Lily's shoes found on Abel Koontz's houseboat were still in her room after her murder. We find out that Logan is being abused by his father. Ugh. And now let's take a look at some cultural references. A variety of pop culture references are made in the episode. Wanda refers to Xanadu, possibly a reference to Charles Foster Kane's mansion in Citizen Kane. Wanda refers to Xanadu, possibly a reference as well to the film Xanadu, equating blonde cheerleader Mallory Dent with Olivia Newton-John, who plays a modern incarnation of Terpsichore, the Greek muse of dancing. One of Wanda's campaign signs says, "Give me liberty or give me death." Logan makes a reference to A Fish Called Wanda, a 1988 heist film. Logan's father says that Access Hollywood, Entertainment Tonight, and E! have been calling to ask about his son's actions. Veronica compares her relationship to her father to the comic Spy vs. Spy from Mad Magazine. And now, the music of this episode. In addition to the series theme song, We Used to Be Friends by the Dandy Warhols, the following music can be heard in the episode. Still in Love Song by the Stills, Feel Alright by the Red Onions, Bandito by Daniel Indard, I'm in a Way by the Wright Flyers, and Ventura Highway by America. And now, finally, the production. This episode was directed by Sarah Pia Anderson and co-written by series creator Rob Thomas, who wrote the story, and Phil Klemmer, who wrote the teleplay. This episode is the first to be directed by a female director. The episode's title is a joking reference to The Return of the King, the third volume of J.R.R. Tolkien's high fantasy novel The Lord of the Rings, or possibly the 2003 film adaptation of it, which was relatively new in that time. Among the episode's many guest stars is young Jane Lynch, who would eventually find fame on Glee. In addition, a character by the name of Wanda Varner, who appears in the guest starring role in Return of the Kane, was featured in Rob Thomas's 1996 young adult novel Rat Saw God. Kristen Ritter originally auditioned for the role of Wanda in the episode. She would later play recurring character Gia Goodman in Season 2 and the film adaptation of the show. So overall, I thought this episode was pretty interesting, and again, the focus on the Lily Kane murder case was a nice change of pace for once. So overall, I give Return of the Kane 4 marshmallows out of 5. Well, tune in tomorrow as we take a look at The Girl Next Door. So, until then, remember everyone, the game's afoot.